Gina. In my previous tutorial with the Golden Harvest treasure bag, I made this bracelet. It's just basically knotting some leather in between the beads that came in the bag. And of course you could do this with whatever beads you would like, but they have to be kind of narrow. So what I have decided, I like the way that I've used the cord ends here. I like the way the bracelet comes together, but I decided I wanted to use something. I'm a sparkle girl, and that's just the way it is. This, I could make it either masculine or feminine and have it go unisex basically. This one, I wanted to make some sparkle. So I decided instead of doing 2 strands, I would do 1, but I would start and finish it with the same type of ending that I did on this bracelet. So this is just style number 2. I'm using Polygon crystals. You can use any type of crystal. I have variety packs and you can get one if you want, but you could use the large bicones I have, the twisted facet or the regular facet. This is a Polygon. You could use the cornerless cubes. You could use whatever type of crystal that are in those variety packs will work just fine for this. This, like I said, is the Polygon. And I'm just using a variety of colors. And instead of making it a double strand and putting a knot in between each bead, I'm using both cords to cage and to separate each crystal. So it's basically the same process to start and finish, but the middle is different. And of course you get a completely different look. So I just wanted to go ahead and do this one also because I just love these crystals and I wanted to do something with them. So this is what we're going to do, and then like I said, this one's the treasure bag one, and I've made a couple of those that turned out really pretty too, but this is the one we're going to make today. So let's go ahead and get started and look and see what it takes to make this. Okay, for this tutorial today, we will be using some crystal beads. You can use any type or size of bead with this particular project that you would like. You'll just have to adjust the amount of beads that you put on to achieve your length according to what type of crystal, or you could use a large pearl, you can use a druke, whatever you would like. So what I'm going to be using are 10mm round Polygon crystals. This is the grade AAA crystal that I have on my website in variety packs. And I have them in a bunch of different shapes. So you could use any shape or any type of the crystal you'd like if you'd like to get some from the website. Otherwise, just choose something you have in your stash that will go over your 1mm cording. These crystals slide over very nicely. So once you've chosen your beads, you'll need anywhere from 8 to 12 of them, depending upon the length of bracelet that you make. I will be using 10. You'll need 2 pieces cut 22 inches long of 1mm leather cording. I'm using black this time. And you can pick this up. I buy little packages of it at Michael's, or you can get it online. You will also need 2 little cord ends. These little cord ends are about 10mm long and about 4mm wide. I bought a little package from Michael's that has 3 different sizes in it, and I'm using the middle size. You'll also need 2 4mm or something in that range jump rings and a toggle clasp. And then you'll want to have on hand some narrow-nosed tweezers, or you could use a narrow-nosed type of plier, a little chain nose plier, to help you tie your knots. I'm using a mighty crimper for my cord ends. You can use your regular crimper or you can use the regular plier, but I'm using the mighty crimper. It works very well with cord ends, and if you do a lot of leather work, you may be interested in getting a mighty crimper. I bought mine years ago, but I believe it's a beadsmith and you should be able to find it online. So that's what we'll be using. Let's go ahead and get started with this project. Okay, to start this bracelet, we're going to go just about an inch and a half down on the two cords, put them together, make sure the ends are flush, and then just make a loop in your cording like this with both of them, trying to keep them side by side and not crossed, and then bring the long portion through the loop. So we're just tying an overhand knot. Then we're going to kind of push the knot up towards the top of the leather. You want to leave about an inch and a half hanging out. So I'm just going to keep moving it until I get it to where I want it. And then just pull it tight. And you get a nice little knot like this. Then you want your cords to be side by side coming out of your knot, and keep them side by side and not crossed. And then you're going to pick up one of your little cord ends, and you're going to place those cords into the cord end and move it down towards the knot, leaving enough room between the knot and the cord end so that there's some movement. Just a little bit of room here, just like this. I'll get you in a little bit closer so you can see. And then I'm going to use my Mighty Crimper. This is a tool that you can get online. Just look it up on Amazon or something. It's a Beadsmith Mighty Crimper. It's a big crimping tool, and it works really well with crimp ends. You can do this with regular pliers, or you can probably even use your regular crimp tool. This just happens to work really well. So what I'm going to do is, let me come in closer one more time here. I'm going to grab my crimp tool, and on the top here where it's kind of flat, I'm going to place it onto one side of my fold over and fold that one side over, just like that. Then I'm going to go into the first divot here. When I close it, you can see it's round, closest to the tip of the tool here. And then I am going to go from the other side, the side I haven't pushed down yet, and I'm just going to squeeze that shut and crimp it closed like this. Now you can also take it back into your tool and just give it another little squeeze or two and shape it if you want it a little rounder, if you want it a little flatter, however, and shape that. Make sure that it's secure and it's not going to come out of there. If you want to, you can put a drop of glue in there before you do this, but I don't find it necessary. And it's messy. So now I have a knot here. I have my little fold over, and I have my extra cords sticking out over the loop here. I'm going to push this back away from the loop a little bit. I'm going to grab some flush cutters, and with the flat side of the flush cutters, I am going to slide underneath those cords. I'm going to pull on them a little bit, get very close to the fold over, and push down on it a little and cut so that I get that very close to the end, just like this. And my loop is exposed and everything looks pretty nice. That's how we're going to do that. Now, once you're set up like this, you want to grab one of your cords and you want to grab one of your beads. We're going to cut the end of this leather just a little bit into a diagonal. So I'm cutting the cord to where I'm reducing it a little bit like this so that it'll go into my bead a little bit easier. And then I'm just going to slide my bead on. And right here, I'm going to push it up to the knot here, and then I am going to make another knot on this side of the crystal with both cords, keeping them next to each other and not crossed and jumbled up. So I've made a loop, and then I'm just going to push both of them back through the middle here, if I can get my fingers to work. There we go. And then I am going to grab a pair of my pliers, and I'm going to reach through the loop. So I'm positioning it to where my loop is on top here, and my bead and the cords that are leading to my bead is down through the loop here. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to go through the loop, and I'm going to grab a hold of both of these cords that are, one's coming over the bead and one's coming through it. And then I'm going to pull the long cords down until it's tight around my little tweezers here. You can also use a pair of pliers, like a skinny pair like this, and then just pull your tweezers out and just tighten your knot by pulling both the cords like this. And now you have your crystal in place. Now we're going to do that again. You can put it on either side, but I want to, since my cord is on this side of this bead, I'm going to make my cord go on this side this time. So what I'm saying is I'm going to put my bead on this cord so that the other cord will be underneath it. So I'm just alternating the way the cord goes through. And I think since I did a dark purple, I think I'm going to do a clear one. And I'm just going to push it down on my leather. I am going to pinch the leather on either side of the bead, so I'm going to pinch them together, and then I'm going to make a loop, trying to keep them parallel and not all crossed and gooby looking. Bring both the cords through the loop I just made. Now I'm going to let go of my loop a little bit. I'm going to grab my tweezers, I'm going to go through the loop, and I'm going to grab the two cords, the one that goes over the bead and the one that's coming through the bead. I'm holding on to them. This position's where I want my knot to be. So now I can just pull the long cords, and you may have to pull one at a time a little bit to get them both coming down uniformly. And once you've got it fairly tight, then you just pull that off, push the knot up, and pull the cords down so that you can tighten that knot right where you want it. Adjust it, play with it. Just however you can get it on there and adjust it. Okay, so it's going to be kind of one knot a little high and one knot a little low since I'm alternating the way I'm putting the beads on. Since my cord is coming over on this side, I want to put my bead on this side this time so that the cord will come over on the opposite side. So now I'm going to pick up another bead, and I think I'm going to go with an aqua color here. And I'm just going to push that on to my cording. And this one, the hole is a little tighter in the bead, so I'll grab my chain nose and just help pull it through here. Just like that. Once I've got it positioned, I will put the two cords together, wrap them around my fingers, trying to keep them next to each other and not all twisted and weird. Put the long portion of the cord through the loop, and then I can let go, and I can grab my tweezers, go through the loop you just made, and grab the cord that goes on over the top of the bead and is coming through the bead, just like this. And then pull the longer cords. Let's get in a little closer just so you can see how it's coming down around, and then I'm going to pull out the tweezers. Now I'm using my fingernail to push this down. As I push it down, I'm pulling on either cord. I can pull on them together and then individually to make sure they tighten up. Or you can grab your tweezers and you can push that down if you don't have fingernails. So either way, you can tighten your bead with your tweezers or with your fingernails. And that's what that looks like so far. Now, we're going to stay in a little bit closer, but not quite that close. And now that we have the cord going over this side, we want our bead to be on that side so that the cord will go over on this side over the bead. So I'm going to pick up another bead, and I think this time I'm going to use red. Just using a color mix here. So I want to put my bead on this side. Push it down. Squeeze the two cords together. Bring it around my fingers, bring the longer portion of the cord in through the center, and then when I'm at this point, I can let go through the loop I just made, hold on to the cord that's coming out of the bead and the cord that's going to be coming over the bead, hold on to them close to the bottom of the bead here, and then pull my leather. Now I can pull both of them together, then pull one at a time and tighten it like this. Pull out my tweezers, and then I'm going to show you how you can tighten it if you don't want to use your fingernails. Just place your tweezers down a little bit further so you're not on the really narrow part. Push the bead with the tweezers and pull on your cords. Pull them together and then pull them separately, and then you can adjust your knot that way. You can also adjust it again after you are done with that with your fingernails or whatever. So just adjust it until it looks pretty. And let's do one more, and then we'll go to length, and then we'll come back and end this. So you can see it kind of bobbles one up and then down, and then it's just however you tie your knots. It's not supposed to look perfect. It is supposed to look more organic, so don't worry about them being absolutely perfect. They look nice as long as you have them nicely, tightly knotted, and the knots are nice and neat. So then, now that my cord came out of, or is going over my bead on this side, I want it to go over on this side. So I'm going to put the bead on this side. So I think I will pick up a pink one. And I'm just going to put this through. And like I said, some of these holes are a little bigger than others. So I'm going to cut this side down since I did not. And try putting my bead through. You can do this with any round bead you want. This particular way of doing it works better with round beads than this one does, because this one, they're laying next to each other. On this one, it's a single strand, so you can use any size, any color, any type of bead that you want to use, and this will work regardless. You just have to adjust the amount of leather you use, depending on how big your bead is or how small. Then we're going to put them together again, tie our knot, grab your tweezers, go through the loop, hold on to the two pieces of cord, the one coming out of the bead. Make sure you're right at the bottom of the bead, and then the one that's going to go over the bead. So I'm just going through my loop and grabbing those two pieces of leather, and then I'm pulling it down. That one was kind of tricky because then I can push my knot down. I can pull on one side and then this side. And there you have it. So I'm just going to keep knotting some crystal on. I'm just going to pick up a random assortment. And then once I get to the length I want, I'll come back and show you what I've got and how to put your end on the other end. Okay, so I have put 10 beads onto my strand here. Now I'm using 10mm Polygon beads. You can use any size or any shape of bead, so yours may need a little bit more beads placed or a few less. So what I'm going to show you is from the tip here to the end where my knot is, I have just a little over 6 inches. Now, including this part here, I will be adding 1.5 inches, so an inch basically, because I have my 1/2 inch on this side of clasping. So by the time I'm done, I'll have around a 7, maybe a little over a 7-inch bracelet. And that's what I want. The bigger bead you use, the little bit bigger of size of bracelet you need to make. So I'm hoping to gain about, from the 6 inches here, about 1.5 inches. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you need to have in order to get the length you want. Now, of course, we could be using different ends, we could be using different beads, so you'll have to adjust. But at this point, we need another cord end, and we are just going to slide this on and end this, just like we did the other side. Now first, just kind of give it a little bit of a tug, straighten it out secure those knots, tightening them up, get the stretch out so that it doesn't grow as it's on your wrist. And then we're going to place the leather into the cord end, making sure that both pieces of leather are side by side, sitting parallel in there and not twisted, and you're just a little bit above your knot. And then grab your crimping tool, and again I'm going to push one side down a little bit, and then I'm going to go to the other side in the first divot here on my tool, and I'm going to push it down until I feel that it's crimped down onto my leather nicely. Now if I want to, let me make sure it doesn't move, and it doesn't, I can go back in and just squeeze it down a little bit more. Now I wanted to mention too, this leather is, I was doing it and I'm thinking this is a little bit bigger than the last leather I was using, and I looked at the measurement. This is 1.24 millimeter leather, whereas the last one I was using was just 1 millimeter. So no, actually it's just 1 millimeter. That is times 2.4 meters. So that means the length, I don't know. No, it's one, oh. Anyway, this leather seems a little bit thicker than the other, and it's late at night, and that was just my comic relief. Just ignore everything I just said. I don't even know what I'm talking about. So, here we go. Let's finish this, and by lifting these two cords here, and then we're going to place our end cutters really close and just trim, just like that. And now we have our little bracelet. We just need to put the ends on. So I'm going to grab a couple small jump rings. I had a few out, but they have disappeared in the process here. It's late at night and I am just really, my brain is not functioning. Hence the, I don't know what I'm reading on my leather card situation. Oh, well, you know, I can't be brilliant all the time. I just can't. No, I can't. All right, let's bring this down. And there is the opening right there on the jump ring. I'm going to place a plier on one side, plier on the other side, and just twist it open. And then I am going to grab a toggle, which seems to have disappeared also. So let me get out a toggle, and I'm going to just drop one end of my toggle clasping on, and then I'm going to go through the loop on the fold over, and then I'm just going to close it. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, let me find the other end. That's not it. Oh, I gotta go to bed, guys. Okay, I'm gonna drop this one on, and then I'm going to put it on this end, making sure that I kind of put the end side that I don't want down on my fold over, and then I'm just going to close it, just like that, so that both of my fold overs are the same direction on both sides here. And I want the smooth side. I don't want the side where the leather was cut showing. So that will go in towards my wrist. Now, let's see how long of a bracelet we have, and then I'll put it on and show you what it looks like. I think that turned out really pretty with all the different colors of crystal. And you can do this in any shape or size. I have a bunch of different of these grade AAA crystal type of beads in little variety packs on my website. And it's under the specialty beads page. If you want to check it out and play with some of these crystals, then you're more than welcome. I love crystals, so... Yep, so I'm right at, if I measure from the middle of the circle side of my toggle here, I am about 7.5 inches not quite, 7 1/4. Perfect for my wrist. So I'm going to put this on, see if I can actually manage that, because you know I don't really seem to be all here tonight. But I'm going to put this on and see what it looks like on the wrist. Oh, maybe. Come here. Okay, perfect. So, and my skin is falling off something. I'm having a really bad night. Okay, so anyway, we have got the clasping here, which is pretty. And of course I put it on to where the leather side, no, it's, yeah, the leather side is showing. But hey, you know, it's par for the course tonight. But this is what this looks like. I think this turned out really pretty. I'm going to wear this one a lot because I like that. That's nice. And it's nice ending. It looks really good. Just really pretty. And I love crystal, so. And of course, this leather will soften and it will kind of shape as you wear it. So if it's a little funny looking, don't worry about that. It'll get better as you wear it. And that's what that looks like. And I think it turned out really pretty. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And if you did, could you please give me a like and maybe hit the subscribe button, even though I'm kind of weird and out of it. You know, I'm not always like that. Okay, I love y'all. Bye-bye.